Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. I have 5 books here that I would recommend to anybody, whether you're in high school or entering college or a college student or a college grad. These 5 books by themselves are very interesting, very intriguing, have a lot of material that you can think about, ponder about, and teach you skills that will be useful no matter what you do in life. As long as you put in the time to read these books, I am pretty confident that you guys will love them. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. Let's go. So the first book that I want to recommend is a book called Moonwalking with Einstein. Now, this book was actually introduced to me through a teacher while I was in high school, and one of the things that he said about the book really stood out to me, and that was the subject matter of the book is about memory and memorizing, and the title of the book gives you a glimpse into what that really means. And if you think about the title Moonwalking with Einstein, that's a title that I can remember for probably the rest of my life without having read this book ever again, and still I'd be able to remember the title. Why? It's because it's so absurd. Just the words in the title themselves. When I hear moonwalking, I don't really know what it means, but I imagine myself walking on the moon. And then with Einstein, so the entire title just allows me to envision myself walking on the moon with Einstein. That's a really absurd idea, but it allows me to remember the title of the book very easily. Even if I forget the title of other books, this is definitely one that I will never forget. So going into the content of the book, I'm not going to be spoiling anything, but the main idea of this book is that you can memorize basically anything. And the premise of this book, I quote, "We acquire a profound appreciation of a gift we all possess, but that often slips our minds." And that is our memory. And in this book, the author, Joshua Foer, goes through an entire process where he takes us from ancient Greece with all of those famous orators and all the way up until modern times with national and international memory championships. He goes through their stories, through their origins, and ultimately how they managed to become memory champions. People who could basically memorize incredible things. Hundreds of digits of pi, cards in a deck without looking at them twice. Things that really would seem supernatural to most of us. But he breaks down each of those people's experiences into understandable and manageable chunks so that we can learn how to manage our memory and get better memory as a result. Amongst other things in this book, he goes through stories that he's picked up through encounters with other people, facts about the memory learning process that he's learned through research, and techniques that he's learned from experts about building memory structures called memory palaces. So yeah, that's the gist of this book. It's really interesting, has a lot of great stories in here, and it also helped me with my own memory and, memorizing math and science equations for tests and projects that I needed. So this was a really great read for me. Moving on to the second book, I have here Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. And the cool thing about this book is the author was an actual former FBI hostage negotiator. And so he goes through a lot of stories as examples for the points that he tries to make in his book. And the main thing to get out of this book is right here in the subtitle. It's called Negotiating as if your life depended on it. So the material that Chris Voss goes over in his book is about negotiation, how you can talk with the other party, get conversations going that gives you information that allows you to make a better deal for yourself rather than being put in a weaker spot by the opposition. So there's a lot of things that you can learn from him. There's a lot of things about negotiation that I had never known before, but really make a lot of sense after you've read this book. And the nice thing about his book is all of these case studies and examples are real. These are all situations that he experienced himself firsthand as a hostage negotiator. So there's a lot of exciting scenarios. There's a lot of scenarios that involve international hostage crises and gangs and things like that. So it not only made reading the book interesting and entertaining, but it also taught core skills that I believe are really vital in the workplace and in college and in just life in general. So I highly recommend this book. You should definitely check this one out if none of the others. Alright, and moving on to the third book. This one is more of a recent pickup. I haven't gone through this book multiple times, but I have read it from cover to cover already. And this one is called The Stress-Proof Brain by Melanie Greenberg. And so, as you can tell by the title of the book, this covers stress. And it goes into the details and psychology of what stress is, why it happens, and the most important thing, how to prevent it or how to decrease it as much as possible. So obviously, if you're a student, then you've probably gone through a lot of stress studying for things, cramming for exams, learning all sorts of stuff from classes. Stress is really damaging to the brain, not only in a temporary manner, but in the long term as well, because it permanently alters your brain structure. And the things that she goes over in this book allows you to find ways to decrease those stress levels, find ways to create new neural structures in your brain to allow for new intake of information, to increase your stress tolerance and decrease the stress that you're taking in on a daily basis. If you get the book, if you get the PDF, or if you get the paperback, I'm not sure what the PDF is like, but if you get the paperback, there's a lot of gray boxes that are basically interactive quizzes that you can use to quiz yourself and compare the results with the results that she's gotten from studies and her experiences, and see exactly what things that you might need to change within your own life to become less stressed. I think that's what sets this book apart from some of the other ones that I've read, in that this one provides a lot of interactivity and a lot of actionable plans that you can use immediately to start decreasing the stress in your life. So that's something really important to me. I think really important to a lot of people entering college, because it can be a really stressful place and time sometimes. So great book, great read. You should give it a try. The next book is something that I think was supposed to be read in high school, but I kind of just put it in my bookshelf and forgot about it until now. But after reading it, this book is insane. It has a lot of information that I just had no idea about. It really gave me a more in-depth perspective of the things that were happening between the early 1800s to the mid 1800s. This book, Destiny of the Republic, I think I was supposed to read it for AP US history, but I actually never did. But now that I read it, this book is so interesting. The story of this book revolves around the life and death and murder of President Garfield and his murderer, Charles Guiteau, or Guiteau, or however you pronounce that. So that by itself made it pretty interesting. But what made it more interesting and added a ton more layers is the addition of other historical figures like Alexander Graham Bell, who invented the telephone, and Joseph Lister, who was the founder of the idea of antiseptic surgery, which is basically sterilizing all surgical instruments before putting it into the patient's body. And originally I didn't think those two people would ever have that much to do with, the murder of a president, but they actually do play significant roles and significant parts in the death of the president, and that made it really interesting. It tied all sorts of historical points that I thought were separate previously before, and just all tied it together into a really nice picture, really nice image of what was happening during this time period. And so, even if you're not interested in American history, even if you've really never given that much thought into, presidencies or the presidential assassinations or anything like that, but the book actually goes through quite a bit of, medical things and political things that allowed me to, broaden my perspective of a lot of things. So definitely recommend this one. And the last book, last but not least, the 4-Hour Workweek. You might have heard of this book already. It's a pretty famous book, pretty popular. By Timothy Ferriss, and the subtitle of this is Escape the 9-to-5, Live Anywhere, and Join the New Rich. This book, I got it when I was getting into entrepreneurship and started to learn about what it was and how to run a business and the ideas and ideals behind that. And this book goes through a lot of those ideals. And it basically goes through the author Tim Ferriss's life in the past as a busybody working 80 hours for only $40K per year, going up all the way to making $40K per month, and working only 4 hours a week. Now, the book isn't meant to, give you ideas to start up businesses that'll allow you to work only 4 hours per week and make 40K per month, but the idea is to give you new perspectives on how to treat and how to think about money and work in your life. Now, some of the things you read in this book might not be things that you can act on immediately. They'll definitely take time for you to implement if you do want this type of lifestyle. Now, the author is not suggesting that you can achieve the same level of success that he has, but merely he's bringing the ideas of his own experiences and integrate it with your current ideas and current lifestyle and create something of your own that will allow you to, accomplish what you want. A lot of great information here, definitely recommend it. It's pretty thick, it's a pretty big book, lots of stories in here. It's pretty interesting. Might take you some time to get through it, but I definitely think it is worth the read. So those were the 5 books that I had in my library that I wanted to share with you guys. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope you pick up each one of these 5 books, give them a read, and if you have read any of these and you want to pitch in your own comments on these books and what your opinions are of them, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below, and I would love to chat with you about them. If you are thinking of getting these books, I will leave links to Amazon down below so you can go ahead and check them out. You can check out the hardcovers, the paper copies, the ebooks, the audiobooks, anything goes. Give them a try and see if you like them. I really got a lot of great information, widened a lot of perspective in my own life from reading these books, and I really hope that it can do the same for you. So thank you again for watching today. I hope you enjoyed. Smash that like button if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel down below if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao.